We were marching outside, and they were throwing the prisoners' clothing at us. A pair of pants, a jacket, a beret, and they gave us a mess kit, some kind of a dish, but deep dish, and a spoon with it. And they told us, don't ever lose this, because if you do, you can eat with your fingers. And there was a wire on the end, and they're hooking on our belt. So we put in our belt, because we are allowed to keep the belt. Then we had to stand in line outside the barrack. It was barrack number 15 in the gypsy camp. The gypsies were also deported, and in September all the gypsies were sent to the gas chambers. They rounded them up, families, or just got rid of them. I wasn't there, thank God, anymore, but that's history. A couple comes, and the couples wore a blue armband, and it says Capo, K-A-P-O. And he tells us, look, you're very lucky. You probably won't be here very long because labor is required. But all I can tell you, if you look at that building over there, if you ever want to escape from this place, don't even try, because you're going to wind up with the chimney giving out smoke. You know, I was 60 years old. I couldn't understand what the hell he was talking about. Me and the smoke and the chimney. What, are you crazy or something? He also told us, don't ever get sick, because 100 people will get one aspirin. It was so much in my mind today, like I remember, 100 people, one aspirin. This guy's probably nuts. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Forget him. So we had to sleep that night in a barrack that wasn't even completed yet, no roof. And we had to get some plywood and sleep on the plywood. The next morning, they tried to serve us some liquid, black liquid. I couldn't even stand the smell of it. I don't know what it was made from. I just looked at the other way. I was still a chubby, heavy kid, and I was still full with food. And they told us, you see over there? There are 3 trains lined up. You're going to go on a platform, and we're going to sit there. There was about 800 of us. And next to us were the women camp. The women were already processed too. And my father saw our attorney's wife, who would be very well acquainted where we're living in the city. He said, did you see my wife? He said, yes, I saw her. She was walking away with Mrs. Breuer wherever they had to walk. And now I know Mrs. Breuer was even older than my mother, so probably the same day they got all exterminated. So I know what happened to her. She never came back, of course. We sit on that platform, and there comes an SS officer again in his night white jacket, in the black riding boots, and this emblem, and he starts reading out the names. And as he reads out the names, the capo points with his whip, with his stick. You go to that train. You go to that train. You go to that train. And I call out my brother's name. And my brother ran to the train, and he jumped in the train. Now they call my name, and they point me to a different train. Suddenly, my wife, something occurs to me. Why should I go to that train? I want to be with my brother. My father is still sitting there. At least I could go with my brother. So me, big shot, walk over in a death camp to an SS officer, and I said to him, excuse me, sir, in perfect English, I want to be with my brother. Oh, he says. He reached for his pistol, and he whapped me on the left-hand side of my face. Just reached out and boom. I fell to the ground. I didn't even feel pain. I just lost my balance. Then I saw from the corner of my eye, the capo was already raising his whip. Want to show the German officer, hey, I'm going to teach that kid whom he's going to talk to. I picked myself up. I ran so fast to the train. You know, God gave me such strength. I was a chubby kid. I don't know how I ran that fast, but the bionic man wouldn't have caught me, I tell you that. I jumped into the train, and the train door locked. The train started moving out, and suddenly I got a crying fit. My God, my father is still there. I lost my mother. Lost my brother. Now I'm all by myself with a bunch of strangers. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they belong. I don't know where I belong. What is going to happen to me? And I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I could not stop crying. It took about a day until I was still sobbing. Suddenly, from the back of the train comes a man. He was limping a little bit, like I'm limping today a little bit because I had a hip operation, so my leg got affected a little bit. And he walks over to me, puts his hand on my shoulder. He says to me, "Do you speak German?" I say, "Yes." He said, "My name is Mincenti. I'm a Hungarian. I'm a dental technician, but I am also a boxer." He said, "You know, we don't know what's going to happen, but let me tell you this. Let's be like brothers, and we're going to help each other as long as we're going to go to the same place and the same camp. We could always help each other. By the way, I'm not a Jew. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. But I got deported because I married a Jewish girl, and we both got deported. So here I am. So let's help each other." I said, "Fine, that's perfect. At least I had a mentor, a person who is older, who will look out for me, and I will look out for him. At least I found someone whom at least I can talk to, not just sit there and cry and cry and cry." I never cried there like that ever again. I only cry when my wife gets hurt, my wife gets assaulted. By the way, she's here among you. The most wonderful person in the world. I'll talk about it later. I sat in the train again with the 2-bucket system, and we got a piece of bread. I couldn't even look at that bread. It already was mildewed, dark brown mildewed bread. I couldn't even smell it. The rain ran about 4 to 5 days. We arrived at midnight to a place. I don't know where. The A place was called Dachau Alak. It was a sub-camp of a main camp of Dachau. Luckily, I didn't wind up in the main camp of Dachau because that was a notorious camp for medical experimentation. What went on there, it was just inhuman and unbelievable what they did to prisoners. I'll tell you about it a little bit later. But that was a sub-camp for 5,000 people, and it was formed by the German TOT organization, what was the Army Corps of Engineers, and the BMW people. The BMW were right across the street making airplane engines for the German Air Force. And they're the ones in charge of this camp. So we arrived at camp at night, of course, no food at night, no food in the daytime. We didn't even know it. It was so newly built, about a year before we arrived there, they had no kitchen there yet. So the food came for the main camp every day from Dachau. Until then, until we were assigned to work, we were just lingering around, doing nothing. Couples were appointed. A lot of them were Hungarians. A lot of them were Czechs. 80% of the people were Hungarian Jews. 20% were a mix of Dutch, Belgian, French, and Yugoslavians. The food came in every day at night. Let me tell you about the food, what they gave us to eat, and then we go further.